She walked into the studio with her usual fire. Confident, loud, dressed in power red and ready to shout down anything she didn't like. But by the end of it, Angela Rayner wasn't shouting. She was stunned, humiliated on live television, and the person who left her speechless was none other than Katie Hopkins. This wasn't just another fiery TV exchange. This was something else entirely. Because on this night, the curtain was pulled back. The carefully polished public image, the working-class warrior persona, the righteous rage, all of it shattered under one ruthless confrontation. And what emerged was a side of Angela Rayner the public wasn't meant to see. The kind of past Labour has been desperately trying to keep buried. Before we reveal what was said, make sure you're subscribed to Precious Update. We bring you the stories others won't touch, no filters, no fear. Now, let's get into it. It started like many debates do these days, hostile from the word go. The topic was crime, immigration, and the recent surge in violent attacks across several major UK cities. Angela Rayner, now deputy leader of the Labour Party, came out swinging, blaming decades of Tory underfunding and right-wing scapegoating for the crisis. But Katie Hopkins, never one to back down, fired back instantly. The real problem, she said, is cowardice in leadership and a political elite that's more concerned with not offending criminals than protecting the British people. Angela rolled her eyes, the audience murmured, and it was clear the tension was rising. But then Katie did something no one expected. She changed direction, not to policy, not to debate, but straight to Angela's past. "You talk about integrity, Angela," Katie said, locking eyes with her. "But maybe the British people deserve to know who you really are. Not the press released, union-funded puppet Labour parades around. I'm talking about the real Angela Rayner." Angela visibly stiffened. "Don't you dare try to smear me," she snapped. But Katie wasn't finished. "You want to talk about working class? Let's talk. Let's talk about the time you allegedly used taxpayer money for travel expenses while attending a luxury private event in Marbella. Or the time internal Labour sources flagged you for failing to declare consultancy income during your union days." Angela exploded, calling the remarks defamatory lies. But Katie wasn't done. "I'll gladly see you in court, Angela," she said coolly, "but everything I've just said is documented. Public records, internal Labour memos, forgotten by most, but not by me." The studio went silent. What followed was not just an awkward pause, it was the kind of silence that tells the whole story. Angela Rayner, the same woman who's made a career out of shouting others down, didn't have a comeback. Not because she was being silenced, but because, for once, she was cornered by facts. So, what is the truth behind Katie's claims? Are they real, fabricated, embellished? Let's break it down. In 2016, multiple local reporters questioned expenses filed by Rayner during a private conference that coincided with her appearance at a luxury Labour event abroad. Though never formally investigated by authorities, the figures raised eyebrows, particularly among grassroots Labour supporters. One longtime local Labour member told us, "She preaches about class and struggle, but some of us started wondering who she was actually struggling for." Then there's the issue of financial declarations during her tenure as a union representative. While Angela has always insisted she was transparent, a leaked internal Labour document from 2014 shows multiple red flags raised around undisclosed speaking fees and private lobbying engagements. Nothing illegal, but the optics, terrible. Katie Hopkins knew exactly where to strike. And for the first time, the audience, many of them lifelong Labour voters, weren't cheering Angela on. They were listening. But it didn't stop there. In the most devastating moment of the segment, Katie turned to the camera and said, "You want leaders who live like you, think like you, and fight for you. Not ones who act like royalty the second the cameras turn off. Ask yourselves, is Angela Rayner one of you? Or is she just another careerist who figured out how to weaponize your pain?" Angela had no answer. Instead, she tried to pivot. "You're a disgrace, Katie. A racist, a bigot, and everything wrong with British media." But it didn't land, because this wasn't about Katie Hopkins. It was about Angela Rayner, and the growing cracks in the FA she's built. After the broadcast aired, social media erupted. She had nothing to say, one user wrote. When the facts hit, she crumbled. Another tweeted, I used to respect Rayner, but this shows she's just another phony. Katie absolutely destroyed her. Even mainstream journalists, normally reluctant to credit Hopkins with anything, acknowledged the impact of the moment. A producer from the network told us off record, Angela walked in thinking she'd dominate. But it was like watching a lion get declawed on live TV. And now the backlash is growing. Labour has gone into damage control. Anonymous insiders have begun leaking talking points urging MPs to stand firm with Angela, calling the broadcast a calculated smear campaign. But no one's denying the specifics. Not yet. And silence, as they say, speaks volumes. Meanwhile, public pressure is mounting. Calls for an internal Labour audit have been circulating, especially among northern constituencies already sceptical of the party's direction under Keir Starmer. Some are even suggesting that Rayner's position as deputy leader may no longer be tenable. But perhaps the biggest impact is psychological. Angela Rayner was meant to be the people's voice, the authentic alternative, the truth teller in a sea of suits and sellouts. What happens when even that illusion begins to crack? This moment could be a turning point not just for Rayner, but for Labour's identity crisis. They've spent years branding themselves as the party of the common people. But if the public begins to believe that even their most relatable face is just another manufactured politician, the fallout could be catastrophic. Katie Hopkins may not be everyone's cup of tea. She's controversial, unapologetic, and at times deliberately provocative. But love her or hate her, what happened on that stage was undeniable. She exposed something the mainstream media refused to touch. She asked the questions no journalist dared. And for once, Angela Rayner couldn't hide behind slogans and soundbites. So where does this go from here? That depends on the public. Will they keep pressing? Will they demand answers, not just from Angela Rayner, but from the entire Labour machine that allowed this narrative to go unchallenged for so long? Or will they forget, as politicians hope, and move on to the next scandal? One thing's for sure, this isn't over. Not by a long shot. If you care about transparency, truth, and the future of British politics, subscribe to Precious Update. We're not afraid to dig deep, to ask the hard questions, and to shine a light where others look away. The establishment doesn't want you to hear stories like this, but we're going to keep telling them anyway. Like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know, do you still trust Angela Rayner? Or is this the moment everything changed? Thanks for watching Precious Update. Until next time.